Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. Today is January 8th, 2026. It is Thursday and it is 9:21 a.m. in the morning. Today, I only have time to walk once. They called and let's wait for the beeps and told my husband that my prescription sunglasses are ready. So today's the day I get to find out if they're going to be good enough for me to keep or if I'm going to have to ask them to do something else to them. I'm hoping not because I really need them. And so I am excited but kind of nervous at the same time. I almost made the mistake I made the other day of pushing the button and not letting it incline all the way up to 10 first. But yeah, so we'll see where we were supposed to go tomorrow, but I wanted them as soon as possible. And so we're going today. And then I was going to say, so the other day I was talking about something being on the bottom of my shoe, and it was. I don't even know if it was maybe a piece that wore off, or if it was gum or something like that that had turned the same color as the bottom of the shoe. But I got it off today. And it was just gross enough for me to not want to touch it. I mean, it was hard. It looked like rubber, but I'm just happy that I did get it off because it would have been a big problem. It was a big piece. So I don't know. I'm going to have to watch these shoes very closely and look at the bottom and then make sure that I don't need to go ahead and just get another pair. Or it sounds awkward, but start wearing one of the shoes from the other pairs because one of the shoes are identical to one of these. Okay, so let's get up to speed. Yesterday I got the treadmill up to 2.5. I'm hoping I can get it up to that today. And then once we get to speed, I'll tell you guys about the topic for today. And I may have talked about it before, but I'm going to solely focus on just this topic. So I think before I mentioned like bits and pieces and stuff like that, I didn't really give you guys like a full review of it. Okay, so we're at 1.7. So yeah, I actually would have been out here sooner, but I had to do a couple things in the kitchen. I had to get my sink ready so that I could wash my hair. It's not manageable to where I would be willing to wear it out and about. So I'm gonna have to take care of it and hopefully it'll get it back to where it's more manageable for me to use it. It might be cold enough for a hat today, but I was thinking about that, I was debating because trying on the glasses, I need to see how they're actually going to fit. And so I was thinking I could just take the hat off and see. So I had to figure out, I'm thinking about a beret, just a simple black beret. But I was thinking if it's as cold outside as it is in here, I'm definitely going to probably need to have a long sleeve shirt and not just a sweater of some sort, like a zip up. Okay, that's 2.1. It's 2.3. And I was thinking when I put on my outfit today that I don't think that I've ever worn this shirt with these pants. I said, oh, that would be something. Out of all these videos I have for my walk and talk, something new. Has 2.4. And there's 2.5. Okay, so let's do a quick time check. Let me actually move this paper over this way. We're at 4 minutes and 44 seconds. All right, so today's topic is, what is it like to own a foldable phone, specifically a Z Fold 2, which, as you guys know, that's what I record with to make my videos. Okay, so I'll talk about it from, this is gonna drive me crazy, my water bottle hitting this wall. I know I always mention it, but it's annoying enough for me to say something out loud about it. And I don't know what would happen if I were to move my treadmill more over to the left. I think I'm gonna just leave it where it is. But yes, anyway, so out of the box, it was really pretty. I decided to get the one with the customized hinge. And at the time, I think the color choices were gold, red, blue, and I don't remember the fourth color. I wanna say rose gold, but for some reason, I remember it being green. I don't know, I could be wrong. But the red just wasn't bright enough. It was more like a pinkish red. And so I thought it was gonna be a red that popped with a lot of color. Something like the red of a rose. It's gonna sound kind of awkward, but like the red of a Santa suit, you know, something like really bright. The red of a starburst, or maybe brighter, and it wasn't. And so I thought, well, I like the black and gold mix, so I'll pick that. I will go into how we financed it also, maybe a little later in the video. Okay, so out of the box, it was really pretty. I believe the phone is made out of glass. I don't know what type of glass. I'm gonna have to say, even though I think it's pretty cool, you know, pretty innovative to be able to come up with a foldable phone, not so much caring about the crease in the middle when you open it, but whoever decided to make it out of glass, I don't know why they did that. Without a case, I don't know about the 6 or the 7. I know this is New Year, so the 8 should be coming out at the end of this year, but it's very slippery. It's like holding a stick of butter. And it seems like the longer you hold it, the slipperier it gets. So if you're sitting, that's one thing. If you're standing, there it goes to the floor. And so I thought, even though it was really lightweight, why did they do that? And I got to thinking, we're still looking for a case that can actually cover the whole phone. It's good to have something on it, but we wanted the hinge protected as well. And so the first case that we went with was I'm trying to figure out how to say it, a Spigen case. Spigen, I don't know how you say it. S-P-I-G-E-N. And it was called a Tough Armor case. And if you're thinking Tough Armor like OtterBox tough, no. But tough enough, especially the back. And it had a hinge that was like a cover that was fake leather. I don't think that was real leather. And it could slide in and out of the back of the case. And so after a while, opening and closing the phone, that became a problem because it didn't want to slide back in as easily as it did when we first got it. So after a while, that would be the main reason to replace the case, because it was connected, if I remember correctly, to the front piece. So it wasn't a piece that you could just replace separately. To be honest with you, I don't even know how that would be able to be accomplished in the first place. The other case they had didn't cover the hinge, and it was thinner. And both cases were black. Eventually it came out with the hinge case. One was black, it was matte. Not quite sure why they didn't go for gloss black. Maybe they couldn't because of what it was made out of. It was, I don't know how to explain it. Picture if you made a hard shell case and put silicone over it. But when you tap on it, it still sounded like you were tapping on a hard shell case. Like I said, the back was really sturdy. But the thinner one, so far as I can remember, wasn't. But on the ones with the hinge, I don't know what material that was. The good thing I could say is that the hinge folded over the back instead of like most cases with the hinge that fold over the front. Well, having a foldable phone, your screen's there. So they were the only company that I saw where the hinge went over the back of the phone and not the front. So I thought, okay, at least for now, I have something that can cover the hinge. You can open the hinge, of course it's gonna flap back in place, but now it's more protected. It came in rose gold and black, so I got the rose gold. I now have that case in the front and a customized case in the back, and it's holding up, but I really do wish it was silicone. But let me tell you, the picture quality that I uploaded and they put on the back of the phone is really, really nice. And so the edge is a hard shell. I think the whole thing is. So of course, now the corner has cracked. So I do wish it was, like I said, silicone, but the quality of the picture, you can't beat it. I'm glad I brightened up the picture, but they did it perfectly. And what I like about it is that I can clean the back with alcohol and paper towel. So it doesn't matter if it's 70 or 90%, but the picture doesn't rub off. So I think if they picked a different material, then the back case would be really nice. But it does have a black edge, so it looks kind of funny because my front piece of the case, like I said, is rose gold. And speaking of the screen on the front of the phone, it's kind of like what everyone said when the Fold first came out. You have the Fold and the Fold 2, I don't know if you guys remember, came out fairly closely together. And so I do wish it was bigger. Not longer, obviously, but wider. It's useful, but if you want to text, if you don't know how to swipe with the Fold 2, you'll have quite a hard time. The little keys on the keyboard that come up, I would have to say a 2-year-old toddler fingers are too big to do texting or anything like that. So swiping is best, but oftentimes you find that your finger that you're using hits the edges. So that's one thing that they may have actually solved that problem, especially in the 6 and the 7. I don't know, because like I said, I'm waiting for one of their tri-fold phones, or I think I mentioned a couple videos ago, the Z Fold, not Fold, Roll. I'm so used to saying Fold, the Z Roll, where it folds open. That's what I was trying to say now I think about it. And then the rest of it rolls open. And they're not sure, but the website I looked at said that they had heard that it would be a 12-inch screen. And then like I said about the Flex S and Flex G, I don't know if the new name is Trifold. I just hope something new besides the Fold comes out this year. Of course, expect the Fold 8 and even the Flip 8. But I think they need to come out with one of those, especially if the screen's going to be bigger on the front. The front-facing camera on the front screen, and when you fold it open, I don't know. many megapixels it is. I forgot to tell you guys in the beginning of this video that I wasn't gonna have all these specs here like, oh, 1080p megapixel camera on the back, you know, the top camera, and 12 megapixel on the front. No, this is just what it's like literally to have one, to use it on a day-to-day basis. I am really disappointed in both cameras that are, like I said, in those two areas. The back cameras are fine, but I believe at the time the next Ultra came out, when the Fold 2 came out, and the camera was better. So they need to really come with it this year. And not so much for the back, because I think they improved that. But yes, on the front, if they're gonna have a front screen, if they do come out with Flex G, the way it showed, there's a possibility it won't have a front screen, only the Flex S. But if they just name it the trifold, so they only have one trifold version to start off with instead of two, then I think there is a screen on the front. And like I said, it needs to be wider and the megapixels need to be improved. If they somehow are gonna make it to where when it unfolds, where it'll have a camera, they really need to work on that too. And maybe so far as like a selfie stick, because selfies are popular. People are still doing them. I would like to see, and they might already have it, but I haven't seen it on their website, Samsung come out with a selfie stick. Let me know in the comment box below if you have any of the folds that are from Samsung, and if you have a selfie stick that you trust. Because I'm telling you, I hold onto that phone for dear life. And most of the time, I'm taking pictures from the back of the phone, from those cameras. And so it makes it more difficult because when you're out and about, especially on trips, and people are usually pretty nice if you ask, or sometimes they offer, and then you offer to take their pictures. But I would rather not have to do that. But then you want everyone in the picture, right? That's what I'm saying. Even though I'm willing to hold the phone to do a selfie of myself and everybody else, I would like to have a stick. But the only thing is, how small would it be when I compact it back down? And it is something else to carry. So I just hope they improve on the inside cameras and the front camera. Oh, time check, 18 minutes. So I believe the Z Roll was said to possibly have a 20 megapixel and a 50 megapixel camera on the back. And I don't know what the third one would be, but whatever phone they come out with, that would be nice. I think they need to do at least a 20 on the front, on the very front. I don't know if they would want to go 12 when you unfold it from the inside, but they need to up their game on that. So that's my suggestion. Nothing lower than, I don't know if it's possible, 16 megapixels or megapixels or something like that. I can't believe how tired I am already. But yesterday and today, I am just so short-winded. Being up here, it's crazy. I could drink that whole bottle of water and it probably wouldn't help. Okay, so the next thing I'll talk about, I almost forgot what it was because I actually didn't write down like little bullet points on there like I did yesterday and the day before. But I think the reactions, let's talk about that. please keep in mind, number one, I am a nice person. And I thought, depending on how you say this, it might come out mean. Yes. Even if you know me and it doesn't seem like it, by the time I say something, I really try to think about what I was going to say. But I think, like most, if you're really straightforward, half the stuff you say comes out slightly offensive anyway, right? I think the more you try not to be offensive, the worse it is. So I'm going to say this the only way I know how to say it. The reactions that you get from having a foldable phone, some people are like, oh, that's so cool. Oh my gosh, like, look, it's one of those foldable phones. First thing I'm thinking is, yes, and there's 7 of them. Now, we know from the past, I don't even think they still sell the first one. That's a no-no. They had to recall those. The third one, if I remember correctly, right from release, they snapped in half. So if you have access to get a Fold 3, I would have to say, do it at your own risk. Because I remember the reviews on the Samsung website of people complaining about that. So when the Fold 4 came out, I was like, it's not too much different than the 2. I don't even think they made any improvements on the camera. And I was so annoyed, I didn't bother like really reading into anything about it that much except, I don't know, maybe screen size. And I don't remember much about it. I mean, that's like, what, 3 folds ago? The 7 came out. I thought, okay, 2026 comes, here comes the 8. And what's gonna be so special about it? That's why I said it is time for one of their other ideas to come out. And hopefully they do a lot of testing for it. Because I usually wait, but I didn't for this phone. We actually got it the year it came out in 2020. But yeah, you know, like I said, I think there's 7 of them. And then people talk about the price. I am not saying, give me a second. Now I just thought about something. The fact that I'm walking at a faster speed, and it's at the beginning of the 7 or 8 days that I usually do that before I speed it up again, is probably also why I'm up here like, help. I can barely breathe. I just didn't even think about that. But anyway, when people say that, and they talk about the cost, okay, keep in mind the name of my channel. I'm like that regardless. I've already kind of pre-apologized for what I'm about to say. You've had 5 years. I mean, 5 years of seeing these folds come out from Samsung. All I can say is, you don't have to take my advice, but save up. I calculated that if you save $20 a month for 5 years, that's $1,200. Now I know what you're gonna say. That's still not the $2,000 that they cost. Well, now we're gonna talk about how you cut down the price. And I have to say, the excitement of when people see it, especially like when we were in Honolulu, it was only certain people, but if they had heard of it, it was almost like they only heard of it, they never saw it. And you're thinking, it's Honolulu. There's not a Verizon store here. They don't have Verizon commercials. And I remember the reaction of a dancer at the luau. And it was so funny because we were waiting to take a picture with the chief and all the dancers. And so I remember he was tall and he had opened the phone and I noticed he was getting ready to do a selfie with all of us in it. And everyone that noticed that he was doing it, he had this big smile on his face. And so we took the pictures. We took like 2 or 3 of them. And we were laughing. There's only one person that didn't notice. And it was so funny how we were talking. As soon as we saw the screen and him there and him trying to position it for a selfie, the minute he got ready to push the button, it was like we all stopped talking and smiled. It was instant. And I thought, we're so, I don't know what word to use. I don't want to use the word, I'll say cute, if I'm using it correctly. It's just funny how it's natural to just do that. But he commented on it, and I got the feeling that he had never seen a fold phone in person. And so, although it's really not just enlightening, but kind of fun to see the reactions, when it comes to talking about, like I said, the price, which like I said, we're going to how to cut it down, then I thought about it. I don't think this at the time. If you're wondering, like, are you thinking that when I'm sitting here talking to you about your phone? No, it just hit me today. It's on the 7th one. I'm just saying. And you might as well wait till the 8th. Especially if you need a really good camera, so you can compare the 7 and the 8. So anyway, here's what you do. All right, you go to your Rakuten account. If you do not have one, you want someone to refer you, okay? Right now I have to check, but I think my referral credit might still be $50. The way it works, if you make an online purchase, we'll just focus on that today, because we're talking about ordering whatever Samsung phone you want directly from the Samsung website. Then you have to spend whatever the referral amount is. If it's not 50, you have to spend that amount before taxes and shipping. And then once that company, in this case would be Samsung, contacts Rakuten and says, yes, they placed an order, then the referral credit and the cash back for that purchase will be in your Rakuten account. And Rakuten pays every 3 months. The same days, every 3 months. Every year. Okay, so I think it's, what is it? February 15th, May 15th. Let's see. I want to say August 15th and November 15th. But you get time to, well, and I don't know if this is why they call their company this, but rack up your cash back. And if not, pretty clever. Okay, so you start there. Then you go to the search box on the Rakuten account and you search for Samsung. And you have options. It's easier to do it on a computer or a laptop, but you can do it on your phone as well. I don't like the extension. To me, it's too invasive. What if I'm just browsing? I don't want you to automatically activate the cashback, and I have no plans of shopping on that website. So on a computer or a laptop, maybe even a tablet, you're going to see, maybe even the phone, shop now and shop now without adding. Shop now without adding just means that you don't want to add the app onto whatever device you're on. So after you put in Samsung, I click shop now without adding. It takes me to the Samsung website. I log in, and sometimes I'll go to Samsung first, log in, and then go to Rakuten, which usually stays logged in unless you log yourself out. And then when I go to Samsung, I'm already logged in. Because the key thing to remember is do not go away from the Samsung page. If it takes you to another page for Samsung, like let's say it takes you to the cart, and then after you submit the order, it takes you to your order has been submitted. Let's say you pay for it outright and you don't do financing. Whatever screen the Samsung site takes you to, don't go out of it, because Rakuten's gonna think that you're done and you'll have to start over. Now you might have everything picked when you get back to Samson, but you will have to start with Rakuten again. So let's just say you have, I don't know, Walmart.com open for some reason. Don't go click on that tab or an email. Do not go click on that. I do think, what if their account has like two-step verification? I hope it's set to your phone, because if it's set, well, even to your email, go to it from your phone, not your computer. You want to go through the whole transaction staying with Samson. Okay, so now you're on the Samson page, and you get to pick. And I shouldn't say this, but it's true. They don't check. Obviously, be honest. Okay, I'm just letting you know. No, they don't check if you ask. You want to pick your discount. First responder, teacher, military, fighter, whatever they have. That initially is, what is it? I think it's like a extra 150 off starting, okay? The more discount you get, let's say you put a trade-in on, the lower that amount will go. So when it's all said and done, with the discount that they offer, it might go from, if it's 150 down to like 75 or even 50 bucks. But by that time, like I said, you've probably added a trade-in. And if it's still the same, you can trade in up to 4 devices, other phones, other tablets, and watches with the purchase of the new phone. And the amount you're gonna get is stated on the page, and it shows you the price at the bottom. And then if you picked the Samsung Care, it's a protection plan, I believe, for 4 years or something like that. It's like 10 bucks a month, $12.99, something like that. It'll have all of that calculated. And it'll show, did you pick a Verizon phone or an unlocked phone, what terabytes that you picked, or gigabytes for the memory, because they might have the phone in a 1 terabyte and they might ship it to your area. I would have to say that the 1 terabyte, of course, is going to be more expensive. So if they have a deal, of course, you're probably thinking, duh, I would do that. Where you can get the 512 gigabytes for the same price as the 256 gigabytes of the phone, which they usually do. Obviously, why wouldn't you? I'm going to tell you, I miss having a memory card slot in my phone. So being that they'll probably continue to make them without them, then hopefully you're on that page on Samsung with that deal. Okay, so you pick your color. It'll tell you if it's an exclusive color, just as Samsung offers on their website. And then the care comes after. So the trading amount comes off right there in the beginning. And at the bottom also is your financing. You pick, I think it's, was it 90 days same as cash, full price, or monthly payments. But I don't know about the like 90 days same as cash or 4 equal payments, but I believe for the financing, you have to be approved. So if you pick to make payments, hopefully on the next page, you see an approval. I'm going to tell you, whatever company it says it is, especially if they're backed with TD financing, if it's not enough and you're making this purchase for more than one phone, because before, either you couldn't, and then you had to repeat the process, going through Rakuten, starting over for each phone. I think I found a way to add all the phones on the same purchase. Then another thing, before you click the next button, you want to have Capital One shopping on there, the website, is CapitalOneShopping.com. You want to sign up with them first and get the extension at the top. Now they are, just like Rakuten, usually they'll pop up a message and ask you if you want to activate the cashback while you're on the Samsung website, while you're on the cart page. But if they don't, that's why you want the extension. And I think it's a white circle with a blue S or vice versa, but it should be at the top, right hand side of your screen with the rest of your extensions. That way you can click on it and activate it yourself. Now, if there are any codes, it'll try codes first. So let's just say you have a discount code yourself and it's bigger than any discount that the codes that Samsung offers on their website directly, then don't forget to put back in your code that you had. Like maybe you just found it online. So you want to make sure that's activated as well. So you're probably thinking, wait, you started with Rakuten, so you're gonna get cash back from them, and it's off of the price before the discount, before the trade-in value. So that, hopefully not with that $2,000 price tag, is what the cashback is based off of for both sites, before taxes. So after you activate that, that's when you click the next button to see if you were able to get finance, or you might say, you know what, the $2,000 phone on Rakuten, depending on the time of the year with Samsung, I might get another $100-something off the phone, at least 70. Capital One Shopping might be about 70 bucks. Those two will have the cash back in those accounts. I got the discounts from Samsung. So you probably knocked the phone down. If it was $2,000 down to $1,500, I don't know. If you had a trade-in, then maybe 14 or 13. And if you're gonna make payments anyway, I mean, you gotta look at it. You saved somewhere between, we'll say, $400 and $700, and you would have purchased it directly from Samsung online anyway. Why not save? And I actually have a video. It is how to combine Rakuten and CapitalOneShopping.com cashback. It's the extended tutorial, and I actually go to the Samsung page from Rakuten and show you guys step by step how to do it. So let me look for that link and put it in the description box for this video, so you can visually see what I'm talking about. All I can say is, do not forget to go through Rakuten and then go to the Samsung website, even if you forget all about Capital One Shopping, because you're trying to get as much off the phone as you want. I have yet, or we have yet, to have anyone we know, even if they got the phone, any of the folds, even a flip, that has not listened to us. And we're like, oh my gosh, so you paid full price. Did you at least have a trade-in? Because, let me tell you, if your trade-in is a flagship phone, okay, say it's the phone from the year before, it's probably going to be considered flagship, maybe even 2 years before. So the 7, right, the 6, I don't know about the 5, but I want to say, especially for the 7, your trade-in value, you ready for this, might be about $1,200. When you think about it that way, even if they don't offer the deal to get the 512 gigabytes for the same price, the 256, at that point, you might be able to go for the 512 or the 1 terabyte. If it won't let you do the 1 terabyte, it won't be so much that they're out of stock. It'll mainly be that they don't ship to your area. Sometimes I think it's the whole US. But if you find you can get 1 terabyte almost for the same price as the 256 gigabytes, unless you prefer less memory for some reason, I would say go for it. Of course, you will have to be reasonable within whatever you want to spend, but that would be the time to do that. I mean, you're not going to use the phone you're trading in anyway. So there's another tip. And like I said, same thing for the 6. It might still be considered flagship. And even if it's not $1,200, it might still be, we'll say anywhere from $800 to $1,000 of a trade-in value. So yes, stack, stack, stack. Okay, maximize your discounts. Don't just go directly to their website. Because if you know that we were getting the same phone, you're gonna find out the price difference. And you're like, oh my gosh, I said I was gonna call you and I didn't. If you know me personally, especially if we're looking at the exact same phone, just call. Take out the 5 minutes. I mean, who wants to spend an extra $500 to $700? Why? And you might have a watch you got the year before, or even that year, and you kept it past the return time. You don't really use it. If they'll accept it, trade it in. Trade it in with that phone or with that tablet. I mean, if you really don't use it, if it's not worth it what they're gonna give, I understand. But let's just say it's not, but it's at least a couple of $100, a couple of $100. Why not? Especially with the phone trade-in, you're trying to knock down that price as much as you can. If you want what you want, you will find a way to get it. Talk to me, especially if it's about electronics, especially a Samsung phone, and you're on your way to the next thing to do. Where am I gonna find a case? At that point, you might say, you know what, I agree with you. I want something different. I'm gonna stick with the folds because who's gonna be able to make a phone for, or a case for a trifold phone or a phone that opens and then rolls out? Who? I'm hoping that Samsung themselves steps up to that challenge. All right, so we're at 42 minutes and 20 seconds. What I forgot to mention yesterday, I went a little over as well. What I do is, for the next walk, however many minutes we go over, I subtract that from the next walk in the next video, okay? So let's remember 42 minutes, 36 seconds, 168 calories, 180. I wrote that backwards. That was the distance, 1.68 for distance. So yes, that is the way to do it. But I'm gonna get out of here. Like I said, I have to wash my hair. We gotta go get my glasses. Just taking just a couple deep breaths there. Whew. That was a good walk, you guys. Stay safe, have a great workout, and let me know if you found even more deals, even more ways to save. No matter what phone you got. I just happen to be a Samsung fan. All right, you guys, see you later. Bye.